मेरा टॉपिक वाटर पोल्यूशन के बारे में है। पानी की आलूदगी आउटलाइन है इसकी। इंट्रोडक्शन, सरफेस वाटर पोल्यूशन, सोर्सेस, ह्यूमन कंसर्न्स, केमिकल पोल्यूटेंट्स, नॉन केमिकल पोल्यूटेंट्स। इंट्रोडक्शन है सबसे पहले। वाटर पोल्यूशन इज जनरली डिफाइंड एज कंटेमिनेशन ऑफ स्ट्रीम्स, rivers, lakes, oceans or groundwater with substances produced through human activities and that negatively affect organisms. Studies focus on the contaminants that exist in water and their effects on aquatic organisms and humans. It is important to remember that there are many ecological connections between aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. As a result, water pollution has the potential to impact both aquatic and terrestrial organisms. Surface water pollution, lakes and streams. Pollution of surface water occurs when too much of an undesirable or harmful substances flows into a body of water, exceeding that body of water natural ability to remove it, dilute it to a harmful concentration or convert it to a harmful form. Types of sources. Water pollutants, like other pollutants, are categorized as being emitted from pollutant or non-pollutant sources. Pollutant sources are distinct and confined, such as pipes from industrial and municipal sites that empty into streams or rivers. Non-pollutant sources, such as runoff, are diffused and intermittent and are influenced by factors such as land use, climate, hydrology, topography, native vegetation, and geology. Sources of water pollution. Regardless of the specific contaminant, pollution can come from either pollutant sources or non-pollutant sources. Pollutant sources are distinct locations such as particular factory that pumps its waste into a nearby stream or sewage treatment plant that discharges its wastewater from a pipe into the ocean. Non-pollutant sources are more diffuse areas such as an entire farming region, a suburban community with many lawns and septic systems, or storm runoff from parking lots. Two types of pollution sources. Pollution can enter water bodies either as pollutant sources, as in sewage pipes, or as non-pollutant sources, as in rainwater that runs off hundreds of square kilometers of agricultural fields and into streams. Human concerns. Environmental scientists are concerned about human wastewater as a pollutant for three major reasons. First, wastewater dumped into bodies of water naturally undergoes decomposition by bacteria, which creates a large demand for oxygen in the water. Second, the nutrients that are released from wastewater decomposition can make the water more fertile. Third, wastewater can carry a wide variety of disease-causing organisms. Common pollutants, organic waste. Oxygen-demanding waste is measured in terms of biological oxygen demand or BOD. Biological oxygen demand, BOD, the amount of oxygen a quantity of water uses over a period of time at a specific temperature. Oxygen demanding waste is organic matter that enters a body of water and feeds the growth of the microbes that are decomposers. Because these microbes require oxygen to decompose the waste. The more waste that enters the water, the more the microbes more oxygen they demand. Lower BOD values indicates that a water body is less polluted by wastewater, whereas higher BOD values indicate that a body is more polluted by wastewater. Calculation estimation of BOD. If we were to test the BOD of natural waters over a 5-day period in a liter of water, for example, we might find a BOD of 5 to 20 milligram of oxygen coming from the decomposition of leaves, twigs, and perhaps a few dead organisms. In contrast, domestic wastewater might have a BOD of 200 milligram of oxygen. Problems. When bodies of water have a high oxygen demand due to microbial composition, the amount of oxygen remaining for other organisms can be very low. Low oxygen concentration are lethal to many organisms, including fish. In some areas, there is so little oxygen and therefore so little life that we can such areas dead zones. Oxygen concentration in Gulf Coast waters, a fish dies off in Colorado. Dead zones when raw sewage is dumped directly into bodies of water, subsequent decomposition by microbes can consume nearly all of the oxygen in the water and cause a dead zone to develop. Shown here are A. Oxygen concentration in Gulf Coast waters. B. A massive fish die off as a result of low oxygen condition in Lake Trafford, Florida. Nutrient release. The oxygen required to decompose large amount of wastewater is clearly an important factor in water pollution. We also have to think about the products of decomposition, which includes nitrogen and phosphorus. Additionally, sources of their nutrients include soaps and detergents. The composition of wastewater it adds these elements can provide an abundance of fertility to a water body, a phenomenon known as eutrophication. The nutrients from wastewater decomposition as well as from nutrients that are leached from agricultural lands during period of precipitation. When a body of water experiences an increase in fertility due to anthropogenic inputs of nutrients, it is called cultural eutrophication. Disease-causing organisms. Human wastewater can carry a variety of illness-causing viruses, bacteria, and parasites that we collectively call pathogens. Pathogens in wastewater are responsible for a number of diseases that can be contracted by humans or other organisms that come in contact with or inject the water. These pathogens cause cholera, typhoid fever, various type of stomach flu, and diarrhea. Worldwide, the major waterborne diseases are cholera and hepatitis. Cholera, which claims thousands of lives only in developing countries. Oil discharged into surface water, usually in the ocean, but also on land and in rivers, has caused major pollution problems. Several large oil spills from underground oil drilling have occurred in recent years. Some of the best known oil spills are caused by tanker accidents. On March 24, 1989, the supertanker ran aground on Bleak Reef, south of Wells in Prince William, South Alaska. The ship spilled 41 million liters, 11 million gallons of crude oil that spread across the surface of several kilometers of oceans and coastal. The spill killed 300 harbor seals and 22 killer whales. Cleanup efforts have been going on for 2 decades. In 2009, 20 years after the spill, scientists evaluated the state of contaminated Alaskan ecosystem. They concluded that the harmful pollutions of many projects have rebounded, including bald eagles and salmon. Those that have no include killer whales and sea otters. Nor has the oil been completely removed from environment. Pits dug into the shoreline suggest that approximately 55,000 liters, 14,500 water pollutants. These are others less familiar types of water pollution that include solid waste, number 2, sediments, number 3, heat, thermal pollution, solid waste. Solid waste consists of discarded material from households and industries that do not pose a toxic hazard to humans and other organisms. Much solid waste is what we call garbage. Today, garbage being dumped in US waters is not nearly the problem that it is in many developing countries where there is often a lack of political mechanism and economic ability to manage proper garbage disposal. Another major source of solid waste pollution is the coal ash and coal sludge that remains behind when coal is burned. Garbage on beaches and in the ocean is not only unsightly but also dangerous to both marine organisms and people. Plastic rings from beverage six-packs, for instance, can strangle many animals. Medical waste poses a threat to people on the beach, particularly children. A river of garbage such as the river in Indonesia still face a major environmental challenge. River in Indonesia still face a major environmental challenge. Sediments. Sediments consisting of rocks and mineral fragments ranging from gravel particles greater than 2 millimeters in diameter to finer sand, slate, silt, clay, and even finer colloidal particles can produce a sediment pollution problem. In fact, by volume and mass, sediment is our greatest water pollutant. In many areas, it chokes streams, fills lakes, reservoirs, ponds, canals, drainage, beaches, and harbors, buries vegetation, and generally creates a that is difficult to remove. Human activities. Many human activities affect the pattern, the amount, and intensity of surface water runoff, erosion, sedimentation. Sediments carried by rivers. Some rivers such as Santa Ana River in California, which empties into the Pacific Ocean, carries a large amount of sediment that gets emptied into lakes and oceans to form deltas. Thermal pollution. Another type of non-chemical water pollution, thermal pollution, occurs when human activities cause a substantial change in the temperature of water. The most common cause of thermal pollution occurs when cold water is removed from a natural supply, used to absorb heat as a part of some industrial process and then returned as heated water back to natural supply. A variety of industries make use of water for cooling, including steel mills that need to cool their machines and electric power plants. Solution to thermal pollution. One common solution to this problem has been the construction of cooling towers that release the excess heat into the atmosphere instead of into the water. A cooling tower relies on the cooling power of evaporation to reduce the temperature of water. In this way, the industries does not extract water from natural water bodies, nor do they release any heated water back into the nature. Cooling tower, a special type of heat exchanger that allows water and air to come in contact with each other to lower temperature of the hot water. For example, electric power plants use nearly half of all water extracted from cooling purposes. The plant must cool the steam converted back into water before returning to water-lax streams. Thus, power plants bring in cold water from rivers, lakes or oceans, use it to cool the steam, and then return it back to naturally at significantly warmer temperature from 10 Celsius to 15 Celsius or 18 Fahrenheit to 27 Fahrenheit warmer. Cooling tower. These diagrams are from cooling tower. Effects on aquatic life. Since species aquatic organisms in a given community are generally adapted to a particular natural range of temperatures, a dramatic change in temperature can kill many species, a phenomenon called thermal shock. High temperatures also cause organisms to increase their respiration rate, yet warmer water do not contain as much dissolved water and as cold water. When both effects are present, many animals will simply suffocate. Reducing surface water pollution. From an environmental view to approaches to dealing with surface water pollution or to reduce these sources, to treat the water, to remove pollutants or convert them to forms that can be disposed of safely. Reduction at the surface is the environmentally preferred